No worries at all. No need to apologize.
Very kind. Welcome, my new friends who are visiting with us.
Hello.
Thank you.
Kevin, we have somebody who was on, is that Anand?
Yeah, it's Anand.
Oh, okay, good. So you've got audio now.
Yeah.
So,
Yes. Hi, Kevin.
Hey there, good to see you again.
Yeah.
welcome. We've got lots of new faces. Did you have to just log completely in Anand and start again, or were you?
I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm a new member to the group, and I'm very excited to meet you all.
Welcome.
And you, welcome, yes.
Yes, thank you.
I wanted to ask for Veronica. Is that how you pronounce it?
It's actually Veronique, a former colleague of mine said it's like very unique, Veronique. It's a good way.
What languages do you translate in?
I translate into French and into Spanish.
Nice. That's great.
As you can hear in my when I speak, I cannot hide the French-speaking part.
No need.
I try, but I cannot hide it.
So, did you know Jeanne spent time in Jeanne, our secretary? Do you know her? She spent time in.
I do. I met her 2-3 weekends ago, and of course I know she was an exchange student in Belgium. So we started chit-chatting, and the time started passing and passing until our respective husbands sent us text about it at the same time saying, are we going to have dinner soon? I think we ended up spending 3 or 4 hours together. We didn't realize that the time was passing very quickly. And I don't know, she's probably eventually going to join the meeting this evening. But yes, I had the pleasure to meet her. We, of course, had a big connection there with her experience in Belgium as an exchange student.
Right.
I think our indicator shows that Jeanne is online. Is this true, Jeanne?
Oh, good.
Yeah, I just dialed in.
There she is. Hello, bonsoir.
It's 8 o'clock. I want to formally welcome everyone to our Rotary Club of District 7710 weekly meeting. We are now in a pattern of meeting 3 or 4 times a month, and then on the week of the third Tuesday, we are doing our best to have a social event or a service event where we can meet in person for those who are in the Durham, Raleigh area. And for those who are outside that area, we would encourage you, if we don't have online meetings, to participate in activities with your local Rotary clubs and wherever you are around the world. And Rotary is all around the world. We're really glad to have a very international and multicultural group with our E-Club and based in the Area 7 of District 7710, which is Durham, North Carolina. We have a great value for diversity, as Rotary does as well. And Rotary is becoming more and more diverse, gender, culture, everything over the past several decades, and we're really excited to be a part of that here. And we hope that our E-Club will be a good format for everyone to interact and to feel comfortable participating. I'd like to go ahead and, before I turn it over to Jeanne, just quickly acknowledge everyone who's on the call that I can see, and if anyone is not on the call, please, that doesn't make any sense. If anyone's not on the list but is on the call, please acknowledge yourself. Let us know who you are after we go through. I see, Eve, you want to introduce yourself? We can go through the attendees list, and then for those who can see it, and then if you can't see it, you can just introduce yourself at the end.
Hi, I'm Eve Marion. I am a charter member of the E-Club and the chair of programs, and this is really my first year in Rotary, and I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm from Durham, North Carolina, originally from Canada. So.
I'm Kevin. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but here in Durham, North Carolina, and I'm serving as the founding president, and excited to turn it over to Jeanne Shack, who is our president-elect next year, and our next person to introduce herself. Jeanne?
Hey, Kevin. This is Jeanne. I am the president and acting secretary of the E-Club, and I'm excited to be here. I am actually calling in from Chapel Hill today, but from New Jersey and grew up around, after that, grew up in Wake County area and now live in Durham, and I'm calling from Chapel Hill.
Lorri?
Oh, okay. You want me to introduce myself? I couldn't hear you.
Oh, we should.
Yes, if you could briefly. You're going to get a better one later.
Okay.
But
Okay. I'm Lorri Marriott, and I'm talking to you from Orange County, North Carolina, between Durham and Hillsborough.
And should I go ahead?
Yes.
Okay, I'm Lynn Jackson. I'm a relatively new member of Rotary. I work with Eve on programs, and I'm enjoying that very much and enjoying Rotary very much. And I always have to pause when I say that I'm from Cary right now. I'm in Cary right now. I'm not from Cary, but I'm in Cary right now.
Is it my turn?
Hello.
It's Rachel.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel. I'm also a charter member of the E-Club, and I'm new. I'm in downtown Raleigh right now, also from New Jersey, obviously, because that's my sister, and grew up in the Raleigh area. That's about it.
Hey, hi everyone. This is Rich Jaworski, and it's a good thing we have an E-Club because we seem to be calling in from all over the place. I myself am in Charlottesville, Virginia, where I'm doing about 3 days of events with the students at UVA.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anand, and I'm calling from Chapel Hill. I'm a new member, or you can say I'm a new participant. I'm a visiting Fulbright scholar at the Public Health Leadership Program, Gillings School of Global Public Health at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And I am pursuing my research here. I am also an associate professor in the Department of Rural Management at Xavier Institute of Social Service in India. So this is my first meeting, and I'm here to listen to you all.
Welcome.
We met him at the Peace Fellow Film Series last week that Dilshad was facilitating. So welcome. Glad you could join us tonight.
Thank you.
And I see Veronique on the line as well.
Yes.
Would you like to,
Sure, absolutely. So good evening, everyone. So for those who were there a little bit earlier, I briefly talked about me. So I am originally from Belgium. Have a sort of a long history with Rotary. Many years ago, I was a participant with the RILA in Belgium. Since then, I've been unofficially doing things with Rotary, like exchange student for summer programs, but as an unofficial participant. My first time in the U.S. in '91, it was in South Carolina with wonderful, wonderful people. Jihan could tell you the whole story, but you know, we spoke for hours about all that. The one official thing I did was in 2005. I was one of the GSC team members to India. It was an amazing experience. And right now I have, now that my son is a little bit older, he's 8.5, and I have sort of my life back to myself now that he's more independent. I'm exploring the possibilities to join a local Rotary club. And so I've been visiting different clubs, and I'm now visiting your club, the E-Club, which has also a lot of advantages, you know, being able to join from home. So I'm trying to see what is the best fit for me. And so that's why I'm really happy to join you this evening, and I'm really glad to be with you. So that's the story really in short.
Is there anyone else that's on the line that we don't see? Not, I'll turn it over to Lea Anne. I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's Lea Anne. I'm just getting logged in, but so are we? I'm sorry because I had trouble getting in again tonight. Am I just introducing myself?
Yes.
Okay, I'm Lea Anne Brown, and I work at the Career Center at Duke, working with undergraduate students. And I am a charter member of the E-Club, and I'm really excited about education and looking forward to the presentation. That's it.
Glad to hear you.
Yeah, you too.
Jeanne, do you want to give us some announcements?
Thank you, Kevin. So there are a lot of announcements, so I will try to keep it as brief as possible, but it sounds like we've got a lot of things going on. First, I wanted to say congratulations to our Rotary E-Club of District 7710 for achieving our presidential citation. That means that we reached multiple goals, including goals for our membership, donations to Rotary Foundation, service fest. All of these goals strengthen Rotary and our club. So congratulate yourself. We've reached these goals, so that's very exciting. A couple weeks ago, or rather a week and a half ago, we attended the meal packaging event. So thanks for everyone who attended that event hosted by Rotary and United Way for the MLK Day of Service. Especially thanks to Rich and Rachel for being volunteer leaders that day. And check out the pictures on Facebook. And if you do have any additional pictures you'd like us to add, feel free to send them out to us. Last week, on Thursday, we had the Peace Film Series. The first film of the semester was Salam Neighbor, hosted by a Peace Fellow, and including a Peace Fellow alum, Dilshad. And that was hosted at Duke's campus, since last semester they had all the Peace Film Series hosted at UNC. This semester, all the 3 films will be hosted at Duke. However, Dilshad is also coordinating another screening of Salam Neighbor along with the UNC Student Global Health Committee. It will be held at UNC on Thursday, February 11th from 2 to 5 p.m. at the McGavran Greenberg building in room 2301. So I will email out those details. And then the next film that will be screened with the Peace Film Series, the second film in the series for this semester, is A Whisper to Roar, which will be held at Duke on February 18th. So a couple service projects that are coming up. One of our big ones is Math Counts. Kevin is the chapter coordinator for the Durham County Math Counts chapter. Would you like to say anything about February 15th, Kevin?
Sure. We are in our second year for the Durham, Orange, Granville, and Vance County chapter of Math Counts, which is a middle school math competition, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And it's something that really helps prepare kids to get some confidence that they can do well, they can handle challenging problems, and hopefully put them on a career path for science, technology, engineering, math, medicine, lots of the things that we need in our next generation to have more and more kids pursue these careers. And so Math Counts gives a lot of kids the confidence that they can do these sorts of problems. And we're excited to be a part. We need a lot of volunteers to help proctor. You don't need to be a mathematician to help, but it does help if you can hand out things and count things and make sure we have everything collected and smile and make sure the kids get in and get registered. It's really not a hard job. It's just a really important job for Durham Public Schools, Orange County schools, lots of independent schools and charter schools. So if you can make it or are interested at all in finding out more, our website is mathcounts.grandchallengers.com, and I can put that in the dialog box, in the chat box, so that you can find out more. We'll send out more information very soon.
Thanks, Kevin. Are you going to set up maybe like a Sign Up Genius site where we can have volunteers sign up there?
Well, that's a genius idea right there. I think I will do that.
Okay. Let me know if you need any help with that. It is a funny name, Sign Up Genius. Okay. Well, another event coming up is the Alzheimer's Caregiver Recognition Luncheon. This is an afternoon event to recognize caregivers for all the love and support that they provide to their loved ones. Volunteers will help set up the event, greet and mingle with attendees, help with food and drinks, as well as the program. Lunch and entertainment will be provided. In most cases, the caregivers will be bringing their loved one as well. And these caregivers are identified through the Jewish Community Center Memory Cafe, and the Duke Family Support Services. So this event, the Alzheimer's Caregiver Recognition Luncheon, is on Sunday, February 14th from 11:15 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Jewish Community Center. And I will, again, with the updates, I'll provide the sign-up link to that. So if you're interested or have any questions, you can also follow up with Joyce McKinney, but I will provide that information later on in the email update. And another service event that's coming up is the Backpack Buddies program that the Durham Sunrise Club hosts. They have a Backpack Buddies service project throughout the year, and they're planning to pack 72 backpacks on Wednesday, February 3rd. If you're interested and are able to be there early at 7 a.m., they will be at the Kitchen Specialist on University Drive in Durham, and it usually takes about 45-50 minutes. And basically, they're packing backpacks for their program, which they give out to kids in the area, it's a lot of fun. And finally, another service event that we're looking to do to raise money to end polio is World's Greatest Meal. There are different ways to host this type of event, and it's basically, if you go to wgmeal.com, it's an opportunity to raise money for Polio Plus. And we basically set up a website, sell tickets to that website, and then provide meals, whether, in this case, we'll provide meals, hopefully donated food from local restaurants in the area. So we're looking to plan this event maybe in March or April. If you're interested in planning it, feel free to contact me. And I'm kind of asking everyone here to think about, if members are able to sell tickets, how many do you think we could sell for maybe $10 a ticket? Do you think a member could each be responsible for maybe 5 tickets or 10 tickets? And since it is an online purchase, it could be more like a donation, so it could be anywhere in the world. Someone can buy the ticket, and you don't necessarily need to be at the event to come eat, but that would be kind of the kickoff or end of the event where everyone can gather together if they are in the area. So keep that in mind. And a couple more things. We're looking for fundraiser ideas. I sent out an email to the eClub members. And thank you for those who've already filled it out. We are looking for ideas on how we can raise some money, not specifically for, really any type of event to help either specific service projects or the eClub in general, so that we can raise money for different service projects. And 2 more things. I promise it would be almost done. We have our district mid-year assembly in Cary on Saturday, February 6th. If you'd like to register for that, go to DACTV at Rotary7710.org and the member login website. So sign up there. It's a great opportunity to have fellowship with other members and to learn more about the grant process. That will be one of the focuses. And this is a great like I said, great opportunity to meet other Rotarians from different clubs who will be there. And another great district event is coming up. It's the district conference, which will be in Wilmington, April 29th to May 1st. And that's the website for that is 2016districtconference.org. Early registration ends January 1st. So if you're interested in going, definitely sign up now so that you can get in with that early registration fee. And it's a lot of fun. There'll be different speakers and different social events, and it's great. And we'll be also doing the conference in conjunction with another district, which actually is the district within the Wilmington area. So we'll get to meet other Rotarians, and you can meet other Rotarians within our district as well. So it's a lot of fun, and you can also bring a loved one with you or a spouse or partner, and your family. So. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be sending an update with all this information after the program. Thank you for listening.
So at this time, I wondered if Lynn is available to introduce our speaker today.
Yes. The Rotary E-Club of District 7710 is very pleased to welcome Lorri Marriott, a teacher in North Carolina for the past 40 years. Ms. Marriott will speak with us about her career as a North Carolina teacher, and we'll discuss the changes and trends in the education profession that have occurred during the span of her career. And we thank you very much, Lorri, and welcome you to our meeting.
Thanks, Lynn, and I am very pleased to be here. I'm sitting here looking at a screen of beach pictures, so I hope I don't get too distracted by the pictures. I don't know if that's what I'm supposed to be looking at, but that's what's there right now. But anyway, they're really pretty and very calming. First of all, in listening to your minutes, I just want to say thanks to all the wonderful programs that Rotary is doing related to education. The Backpack and the Math Counts program both sound like really important programs. And one of the things I'm going to touch on in my talk is just how much we need the community support to help our students. So it's really great news to hear what you're already doing. And I thank you for those programs. And I also thank you for just being interested in what I have to say. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, and if I start talking too fast, just somebody stop me because I tend to talk really fast. And also, if you have questions along the way, please feel free to jump right in, or I'll be glad to take them at the end. So like Lynn said, I've been a teacher in Durham for 40 years, actually 42. I started teaching at Hillendale Elementary School, which is in West Durham, in 1973 when I was 21 years old. And I am still there. Says a lot about what a wonderful place it is. And Lynn asked me to just kind of talk about what it's been like teaching all these years and kind of the things that have changed and the things that have stayed the same. Ironically, I did not realize that Eve was part of the Rotary, but I also taught Eve's daughter in 3rd grade, and now I think she's probably pretty grown up. But that's one of the best things about what I do is getting to still stay in the community and see the parents and the students years after I've taught them. That's always really fun. But anyway, in thinking about how much education has changed, I kind of organized it into a couple of areas that I want to talk about. The first being who we teach. That has definitely changed over the years. When I first came to Hillendale in the 70s, our school was more or less a neighborhood school, and most of the kids came from the middle-class neighborhoods that were near us. And that isn't the way it is anymore. Durham, for a number of years, has a very open enrollment policy, and so we get a lot of kids from all over Durham. And not very many from the middle-class neighborhoods that are actually near the school. Because of the charter schools and a lot of the private schools, we don't really get a lot of the kids that live in the neighborhoods right near our school, but draw from an area all over. So that definitely kind of changes who we teach, and it changes the parent involvement because it's much harder for parents to be involved day to day because they're often across town and they're often quite busy. So that's changed a lot over the years. And our students come from a much wider range of socioeconomic and cultural backgrounds than they did in the past. And that presents a lot of opportunities and it presents a lot of challenges to teachers. Many of our students come from non-English speaking families. And, you know, often they come with struggles with verbal skills and less vocabulary than English-speaking families. And a lot of times their parents can't help them with assignments outside of school. So those are all things that you have to be mindful of as a teacher and just try to figure out ways to help all the different kinds of students. We also have many more students that have disabilities from 40 years ago. Many more of these students are in regular classrooms, and again, it presents teachers with a wonderful opportunity, but also with a lot of challenges because, you know, often the disabilities affect their learning and their behavior. We also have a lot of transient students and a lot of students that have pretty challenging family situations. So again, that presents itself in the way the children behave and in what they come to school with and what we can build with. You know, having a huge range of abilities in a classroom is also a challenge because you really want what's best for each student, and you often aren't teaching a single grade of abilities, but many grades. You know, a typical class at our school will be a third of the students are above grade level, a third of the students are on grade level, and a third of the students are below grade level. So, you know, with one teacher and 25 kids, that definitely presents a challenge. And we have to be very creative and flexible in figuring out ways to deal with that. Makes it interesting. So that's changed a lot in who we have. The way kids act now has changed a lot too. When I asked a couple teachers today what I should say tonight about how things have changed, they said, tell them how the kids have changed. And again, there's a lot of wonderful things about the way kids act now because they're far less likely to take your word for things and far less likely to just listen to you because you're the teacher. And their parents are far less likely to tell them they have to listen to you because you're a teacher. But they also present a lot of interesting ideas because they don't just accept what you say. That makes it interesting. You know, I feel like all children can learn in whatever situation they come to you, and it's just the job of the teacher to figure out how each one is going to best learn. It takes a lot of patience and a lot of creativity to reach them, but once you reach children, it's a wonderful feeling. I was talking to my daughter, who is a nurse, about what I should say, and she said, well, you know, one of the things, Mom, that we both have in our jobs is that we really can make a difference in people's lives. And I think that's one of the things that's kept me in the job so long is, you know, it's hard each day, and some days you don't feel like you're making a difference, but then if you have a time where somebody gets something for the first time or somebody gets really excited about what you've taught them, it's a wonderful feeling. So the bottom line is the kids we have now present a lot of challenges, but they're also really fun, they're really funny, and it's very exciting, but it's very different. So that's my first area of what's changed. The second area of what's changed is what we teach. You know, in the olden days, the teachers controlled kind of what you taught. You know, you had textbooks, and you'd open up a textbook and look at what's in there, and then you could kind of ad-lib or pick things that you just thought your kids would be interested in or you were interested in, and you could go from that. And so it was nice in a way because we had a lot of autonomy. We often did, back in the olden days, a lot of unit teaching where you would pick a theme for a month, and you know, I'm sitting here looking at these beautiful beach pictures. I can remember when I used to turn my classroom into a beach, and I'd have like a sandbox in the corner and big beach umbrellas, and everything we would do, we would study ocean animals, and we would do science experiments about salt water, and everything was kind of cool, and the stories we would read would be about the ocean, and it was a really fun way to teach. And you know, I think I miss a lot of that kind of teaching, but we are now in the era of Common Core and standards-based teaching, and that's very different. I definitely see the need for it. You know, when teachers were just kind of making up their own curriculum, there really was no scope and sequence, and there was no quality control. And so, especially with as transient as all our populations are, we definitely needed some sort of guidance for quality control. But the trouble with Common Core is it's gotten a very rigid curriculum of what we teach on each grade level, and in looking at it, a lot of teachers see things that are not very developmentally appropriate for kids. You know, a team of people came up with all the standards for each grade, and a lot of the kids are not ready for it, and it's very hard on teachers when you're being asked day to day to teach something where you know the kids don't have the prior knowledge to make it relevant, and you have to keep going. A lot of schools are even totally scripted in what teachers have to do when you literally walk into the classroom, open up your laptop, and it tells you what to say. Luckily, I'm not in a school like that. Our principals have given us a lot of freedom as long as we teach the standards that are on the pacing guide from the district. They kind of say, you know, you as a team of teachers are free to design how you're going to do it. Just make sure that you do those standards. But a lot of schools are not like that, particularly the low-performing schools. I mean, they have teams of people come in and literally hand them scripts and tell them they have to have a certain font on the wall. And I think that, again, I understand some of the reasoning behind it, why they want to make sure that the children are being presented with the curriculum that they need to be getting. But I also think it totally takes away any autonomy from teachers. It takes away spontaneity. It takes away the teachable moment. The teachable moment that we've always had when something happens and the kids are excited and you explain it to them, and then you go off and you find a project related to that they want to do at that moment. I mean, that's the kind of thing kids remember, and I think that's the kind of things they really learn. And I'm afraid there's a lot of situations now where teachers don't have that freedom. You know, the one thing about teaching is it always changes. You know, what's current now will be different in a couple of years. And, you know, I've been around long enough that I see cycles of things coming back. So I'm hoping that we can figure out a compromise where, you know, we do have a quality control component, but that teachers and what they're, you know, the teachers are given credit for knowing the pace that their students can move and what their students need. So I'm hoping that that will come back a little more flexibility. Particularly, again, what I've heard from people at low-performing schools, you know, they get burned out pretty fast when people are telling them exactly what they have to do all the time. I know that there's a lot of teacher turnover, and I think sometimes that's the kind of thing that is causing it. So that's definitely been a change over the years. Also, the amount of data collection that has come into the picture. Data is the big buzzword, and we spend a lot of time testing children and collecting data. And I realize, again, there's good reason behind that because teachers do need to be accountable. But, you know, children don't learn by being tested. They learn by being taught. And I think that we could do a lot less testing and more of doing something about the areas where you see that kids need help and have weaknesses. And unfortunately, right now with our state legislature, they're putting more money into the companies that are making the test and less money into people in the classrooms. You know, the cuts to teacher assistants have been just terrible over the last few years. And the teacher assistants in our school have always been really wonderful. And our teachers, you know, and work one-on-one with children that need it. And, you know, we have less and less each year of that help. So I'm really hoping, again, that's an area that people will realize, sure, you do need to collect data and you need to test children so that we know where they are, but minimally. And then the emphasis should be on helping children achieve and putting resources into that. So the next area that I want to talk about the changes is how we teach. And again, that's very, very different from when I first started teaching. You know, in those days you would have a textbook and everybody in the class would open up the textbook and read it and talk about it, and that certainly wouldn't work with the way kids are now. Kids have much shorter attention spans for things like that. You know, the way kids are raised now, they are exposed to games and iPhones and television at a very young age, and they're used to a lot of action and a lot of visuals, and you could never get away with that kind of teaching. So we are much more in line with the way that kids are trained at home in our teaching, and we try to use a lot of technology. I would say a good half of what I do now is online. We do a lot of animation. We use a lot of YouTube. There's a lot of programs that companies have made that go along with our curriculum. We have the kids on computers a lot on their own. We have like 5 laptop carts at our school now that move around, and the kids spend a lot of time researching things that they're interested in. It's great because it's the way kids learn now, and we have to be that way. But I still also feel like they need to still read books and be read to and have time to write. I still teach cursive handwriting because I think that's kind of a dying art, but the kids need it. And they need to have time to work in groups with other kids. You know, some of the emphasis on online charter schools concerns me a little bit because I think that kids working together in a classroom is a really important thing, and they learn so much about life skills by problem solving together and working together. And I'd be worried if everything was on a computer and kids were just alone all the time, because I think that's such an important piece of their social and emotional development. So I hope that we can achieve the balance with that and, you know, use technology that's good and motivating, but also a lot of face-to-face time with people, because I think that's a really important skill. Kids are very, very active nowadays, so I try to make it very active. You know, we don't ever sit for more than 45 minutes before we're up dancing or moving or doing some kind of activity. We try to make math and science particularly very hands-on. The kids read laying down, they read, you know, sitting in all different kinds of, they don't just sit in desks anymore, so that changed a lot too. And I think that that's really important. I think with the whole obesity epidemic now, and kids not playing outside so much, that we need to add that a lot into how we teach during the day and get the kids moving as much as we can. You know, I've always found playtime to be a really essential part of the day. So I think kids need to get out and play every day. And I think there's so much kids learn by playing together and having time for free play that I think that's a really important part of what we do still, too. Now, I want to share something that my team does in terms of how we teach that I think has been really a fun unit that is kind of... Can you hear me? I'm sorry. Did somebody say something? Hello?
We can hear you, Lori. I don't know what that was. Sorry.
Okay, good. I wanted to just make sure I didn't lose you. Okay, thanks. You know, I just want to share something that I think is a really good example of how we teach now. That's a unit that my grade level has been doing for about the last 10 years that I think is a really good example of the best practices in education. It's a unit we do in the beginning of the year on economics, which is part of the 3rd grade Common Core, and we do it by incorporating everything that we're doing in a day around that theme. For example, the kids in our reading book, the first unit is a whole bunch of different stories about money and economics. It has some nonfiction stories that teaches them about the value of different kinds of money. And then we have some historical fiction. That's a story of the California Gold Rush and how towns grew up based on people starting their own businesses. It has some stories about making and spending your money wisely. We read the story Alexander Who Used to Be Rich, about a boy who wastes his money. It's a really good example of how not to spend your money. The math that we do during this time is we teach them all about adding and subtracting money and percentages and making a budget. In social studies, we teach about how economics works and focus on things like supply and demand and how that affects a business and wants and needs. And we even do a whole little thing on being an entrepreneur. There's a great website that Warren Buffett has started called the Secret Millionaires Club, and it's a bunch of cartoons that teaches kids all about economic principles and how to become an entrepreneur. And we even tie their behavior and work ethic to the whole unit because the kids have a chance to earn money by doing their homework and doing their classwork and doing jobs in the room. And then after a month of all these different lessons, we kind of end up with a culminating activity where each classroom is a marketplace, and the kids all make products, or they have a service or a business of some sort, and all the kids take the money that they've earned by doing their schoolwork and behaving, and they get to shop in each class. And this one is a really good unit because the parents do get really involved in this. You know, like I said before, we don't have as much parent involvement as we used to because the parents come from all over, but this is one project that we do that parents are really involved in, and it's just lots of fun for it. And you know, we've been doing it long enough that kids will come back that are in middle school and they'll say, "Do you still do that at Canopolis? I loved my job and all the money I made in my business." So that's kind of a really cool message that we see how much it means to them. So that's something about the how we teach that I wanted to share, just because I think it's, you know, showing what kids really need and what really works. So I think that that's kind of a good example of the how. So the last area I wanted to talk about is the why that we teach. And, you know, this is one area that I personally don't think has changed a lot, because I think most teachers teach because they realize it is an important job and it is an opportunity to make a difference in the community. You know, school is often, for children, the best part of their day, which I think says a lot about our school. You know, we try to create classrooms that are safe and loving and a place where kids can reach their potential and enjoy being there. And I think that, you know, it's why I've stayed in the job so long, because it is a chance to really make a difference. You know, I really believe that public schools are a very important part of our country and always have been, because we are an opportunity for kids to break out of some of the things that they come from and to have a good life. And it concerns me that right now there's a lot of negative publicity about public schools, and you know, so much emphasis, particularly in this state, towards charter schools and vouchers for private schools, because you know, I think public schools are really important, and they do by and large a really good job. I know there's, you know, there's always teachers that maybe shouldn't be in the classroom, but you know, we don't get paid that much, so they don't stay anymore. I think if, you know, if you don't love it, you don't stay a long time. But you know, from my experience, you know, everything I've said tonight is just based on my experience in our school and other teachers that I've worked with. You know, by and large, people are in it because we really do see the good that we can do, and you know, it's just fun. No day is ever the same, no year is ever the same, and kids are just really fun to be around. So, you know, I'm getting towards the end of my career, but I have no regrets. It's been a great job and very fulfilling, and I'm just really proud to have been a teacher for all these years at Hillendale. So I think I've said everything that I wrote out. So now if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you so much for sharing this important perspective. I think that we have had different speakers on to talk about education, but it's really important that we hear from a lifelong teacher. And I do want to open it up for anyone that has questions. I can always come up with a few if we have shyness hit us, but I'm sure someone has a good question for you.
Lorri, I thought that was fantastic, and thank you very much. This might sound like kind of a silly question or a funny question, but do you feel as if children are significantly smarter, if you will, and maybe that smarter is the wrong word, but certainly it seems to me that children today are so much better informed, more informed, maybe over-informed even in some ways. But do you sort of feel as if they're smarter today than they were, say, 20, 30 years ago?
Well, that's interesting. It's kind of the extreme. They are either smarter or they're less smart. That kind of gets back to that there's a real big range in classrooms because a lot of the kids are exactly that. They have been, they spend a lot of time online and they spend a lot of time playing incredible video games that do develop a lot of problem solving. And then there's kids that you feel like they have been in a closet their whole life. So it's really a real big gap, and the gap keeps getting bigger. And I wish that we had more of a component of, getting parents to understand how important it is for them to spend time talking to their children and reading to their children and taking their child to the library and those kind of things, because yes, a lot of our kids have amazing opportunities, but then there's a lot that come to school and they don't even know the first letter of the alphabet and they don't even know how to write their name. So it's interesting that you said that, because it is kind of like the haves and the have-nots is kind of what we see right now.
And what do you think can be done about that to bring the have-nots up to the haves?
Yeah, well, I think I would love to see it done by better parenting, but I don't know if that's going to happen, because I don't know if you can control that. So I think that more universal pre-K could be a good answer. Better quality control in daycare. And then a component of parent education that, would be something where we could encourage parents to be more involved and to spend more time with their kids. Again, it just depends on who the kid is, but I know the kindergarten teachers keep telling us kids are coming less and less prepared. I think there's so many struggling families right now where there's only one parent and that parent's pretty overwhelmed, and so they don't spend the time with their kids. I even see it when we're doing carpool duty. A good third of the kids, their parents don't even get off the cell phone when they pick them up and say hello and how was your day. They just, and we're yelling, put your seatbelt on, because the parents don't even make them put their seatbelts on. So I don't know how you change that, but certainly community programs and community support for those parents that are not doing that would help, and then good daycare and good pre-K.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay.
So I saw this little picture on Facebook the other day. I don't know if you guys can see my screen.
Yes, it just came up.
Okay. A friend of mine, she was a student at Duke when I was a campus minister. She's out in Los Angeles, but she posted this. I'll read it for those who can't see. It says, it's two pictures of two kids. It says, a short comic gives the simplest, most perfect explanation of privilege I've ever seen. And the one panel says, Richard, his parents are doing okay. The other panel says, this is Paula, her parents, not so much. And I thought about this picture, but I wonder if you could comment on the I guess your parent-teacher association and how are we able to understand and empathize with some of these families where there might be challenges going on, whether it's health issues, like you mentioned, language challenges, could be unemployment, or families working multiple jobs. Are the PTAs able to connect or to get into the lives of these parents who might be having a tough time in raising their kids, and therefore the kids are having a tough time?
You know, unfortunately, the PTA in our school has dwindled and dwindled and dwindled. You know, when I first started, it was huge, and we'd have meetings where there would be, 100 parents. Now we have like 10 parents. So it's hard, there's not enough people anymore to do that kind of outreach. I know our school tries to do the outreach in our district, presents things like, we have a wonderful science facilitator, a woman named Dacia Jones in Durham, and she hosts these incredible science nights. I think each school gets 2 a year. And then our principal bought pizza this year, so parents could, the kids would be fed and parents wouldn't have to worry about cooking dinner. And we had a really good turnout at that because we had dinner. I think that helped. So that's one thing, that the school districts could do is to have things where they make it easy. It's 6 o'clock at night, come have dinner with us, stay from 7 to 8, and we're going to do science experiments with you and your child. And it was really a wonderful event. She had a bunch of different things set up, and I served pizza, so I didn't get to go help with the experiments, but the teachers that did that said, there was a really good turnout of parents, and people went away with some ideas of hands-on kinds of science things that they can do at home. So, that's one thing. Again, for the PTA to be able to do it, I just don't think we have enough people anymore, unfortunately. But maybe the school districts themselves need to put a lot more effort into those kind of things.
Thank you. I mean, that sounds like a good story of something that did work. And yeah, I think that's great if we can take some more steps in that way to, because I think one of the things with the Backpack Buddies that our other sister club does is that so many of those kids over the weekend, they just don't have food, and so providing that meal, I think, really does make a big difference. I know at our kids' school at George Watson's, there's a high percentage of kids that are free and reduced lunch, but there's also a good mix of other families from Trinity Park neighborhood, and they, whenever they've had PTA meetings, they've been well attended, and I think maybe part of that is the providing food and providing those sorts of things. But it's kind of been that's been really good to see the turnout there, and I know that it's very difficult in different schools, especially if they're not necessarily neighborhood schools, where there are a lot of kids who are walking to school. And in Durham, fortunately, we have enough. Sometimes it's patchwork integration, but I think that the challenge with neighborhood schools sometimes is that historically we have a lot of segregation of rich and poor ethnic groups, and so some kids are able to walk to school, some kids aren't. It just becomes so many challenges that we face in our modern school systems.
Yeah, we don't have very many walkers at all. Very, very few.
Other questions?
Lorri, I really enjoyed this is Lea Anne Brown. I really enjoyed your presentation.
Thank
you. Commend you for sticking it out for 40 years, because like you talk about change, you know what I mean? I mean, it's just like, schools have always changed, but it's really amazing. And I bet you're such a great resource for the younger teachers, you know what I mean, to help give them perspective on how to sort of get started in a profession that can be really tough to start, very expensive to start, and difficult, I think. And I was curious what grade you teach and why you teach that particular grade level, or if you've taught a number of grade levels over the years.
Yeah, well, I have taught a number over the years. I've pretty much taught every grade in elementary school, but I have been in third grade for the past 25 years. And I love third grade. Their 8-, 9-year-olds are a wonderful age. So I just got put in third grade 25 years ago, and I've just stayed.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's a sweet age, because they're still more likely to have some respect. Like have some old-fashioned,
And they want to learn, and they have a lot of skills to learn, but they haven't got all the drama yet that 4th and 5th graders get.
Right, and they smell better sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah. Than like 5th grade, but I did some substitute teaching, so I know.
Exactly.
But thank you so much for your presentation. It's very interesting. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Lorri, this is Eve. Thank you very much, and thank you for teaching my daughter.
Thank you. And you were good parents.
I wanted to ask you, mostly because as you were talking, I was mulling, and Kevin has younger children, and I think other people do, but I was trying to think, gosh, it was kind of easy with Georgia and Max. I said, they couldn't have Game Boys until they could read, and there wasn't that much pressure. But now it just seems like there's social media, there's phones, there's like they're on their tablets or some iPads like when they're 7 or 8 months old, and I was just wondering about that and how it ties into learning and reading. And you talked about being really kinetic and active in the classroom, and
I think the attention span piece has definitely changed, and I think a lot of it is that the kids have kind of had that instant gratification all the time from when they were babies. Kids used to kind of go places where they'd have to just sit and listen, and they don't have to do that so much. You even notice it when you're out watching people with little kids. In a restaurant, people just hand their kid an iPad and they don't have to sit and listen to the family talk. So it is a lot harder to get their attention. Particularly the people that teach kindergarten say it's a real challenge that first year, and they spend a lot of time just trying to teach kids how to develop an attention span and how to develop listening skills, because they don't have the listening skills that generations ago did because of the very thing you just pointed out.
Well, I know for myself, my own attention span is like obsolete, so I can't even imagine.
Right. I mean, we're all like that now. Everybody's multitasking all the time. It's true. Rampant ADD, but it does make people very smart too. I think it's a blessing and it's a curse.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Thank you.
Any other questions? Veronique, I'm wondering if you have any perspectives from your experiences with different cultures.
I have so many things coming to my mind, and as Lorri was talking, and also as a mother of a third grader, this technology part, for instance, my son is in a private school and they are still trying to control the technology, and we are doing that as well at the house. My son is devouring books. He loves to read, and of course, like any 8-year-old, almost 9-year-old, in a couple of months he's going to turn 9. Of course, he has this fascination for the Kindle and computers and Minecraft and all those sort of magic words. But Minecraft is only allowed to use that over the weekend.
But
for instance. And we were at a restaurant a couple of weekends ago, and I was really glad to hear the waiter congratulating my son because he was establishing eye contact, and he was very talkative, and he was very responding and very polite. And as a mother, it's always very nice to hear something like this, as opposed, for instance, to my little neighbor who is 5-year-old and who, when I try to talk with him, will not look at me, and it's really a struggle to have a response from him. So little things like this. And this child, my neighbor's son, spends hours and hours at 5 years old playing video games, and sort of violent video games.
Yes.
You always wonder, well, what's the role of technology? And it's always a big concern of mine, and I'm thinking, well, I've been managing to control that with my son, but a lot of families or don't really bother or don't care. I don't know where the limit is. I was talking with a friend of mine who's also in the classroom as a language teacher. She was telling me they are not really teaching anymore. They want to teach the past tense, and they have become a facilitator. When I was in the classroom a couple of years ago, we would explain how you do the past tense in Spanish or in French. And she was telling me now they are giving YouTube. Lorri, you were talking about the use of YouTube videos. That the students will go and watch a YouTube video that explains them how to do the past tense. As teachers, we used to do that. We would not send the students watch a video on YouTube.
Well, I think the thing is to make it a good balance where it's just a tool and not the program. And, I think that's, again, my concern with some of the stuff that the state's doing where they're giving huge amounts of money for virtual schools. And because they are really pushing that there's this, online charter school that they're giving a lot of money to. And they're pushing that, and I think that's a big mistake because I think that we do need to control it, and we need the human element first, and it needs to be a tool and an enrichment, but it doesn't need to be the program.
Exactly.
Totally agree.
And I'm really concerned about that as well because I think that we still need this human contact and with the teacher and the work group like you were talking about. Technology, like you said, it can be a blessing, but I think it also can be a curse, and I'm very often afraid that we're letting it take too much. We are letting it invade too much, and I don't know. It's concerning. It's concerning. But thank you for your presentation. We need teachers like you in those offices in Raleigh. I've left the public school system about 8-9 years ago, and at the time we were already complaining about all those things that we were asked to do instead of teaching. And the testing and all those requirements that were taking so much time away from what we wanted to do, which was working with the kids, and that was at the high school level. Sometimes, often, and to the day, I still wonder, well, what do they think in those offices in Raleigh? They need to go in the classroom and see exactly what's going on in the classroom. It's like they are living in a different world,
Exactly.
So, I mean, bless you. You know what you're talking about. Why don't they know that in those offices in Raleigh?
I don't know. That might be my retirement career. Is just park myself around people.
You need a whole entire other life, if not 2 lives.
Exactly.
It's work to make them understand that. But thank you so much.
Well, and thank you too. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Well, this has been great, and thank you for taking our questions as well. I'm going to ask if Rachel can lead us in the 4-way test to close out this meeting, and we really, really, really appreciate your coming in and sharing your perspective and your experience. And thank you again for your service to the kids and to the community.
Yes, thank you, Lorri, for your presentation. The 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
That's Rotary for tonight. If anyone wants to stay on for a couple of minutes, I will leave the meeting open. Thank you again for coming and participating. We look forward to next week's meeting and a lot of the events coming up that GN shared, and we'll get more emails following up with that. So thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Kevin.
Good night.
Thank you.